The city sky wept that afternoon, a relentless downpour that turned bustling streets into a maze of rushing water and blurred lights. For a tiny creature, no bigger than the palm of your hand, this world had suddenly become a terrifying, chaotic giant. This is the story of Pip, a little orange kitten with fur the color of a sunset, who found herself lost and utterly alone. Just an hour earlier, she had been nestled safely with her mother and siblings in a hidden alley nook, but a sudden clap of thunder had sent them scattering. Now, the city's symphony was a cacophony of fear. Car horns blared, their headlights slicing through the gloom like predatory eyes. The rain hammered down, turning every pothole into a treacherous lake for her tiny legs. Pip, shivering and soaked to the bone, found refuge under a soggy cardboard box near a bustling marketplace. Her world had shrunk to this dark, damp space, the smell of wet paper and fear filling her little lungs. From her hiding spot, the world was a parade of monstrous shapes. Giant boots stomped past, sending splashes of icy water her way. Worse still were the shadows that moved with a different kind of purpose. A pair of stray dogs, their fur matted and dark with rain, trotted by, their noses to the ground. Their low growls sent a fresh wave of terror through Pip's tiny body. She pressed herself flatter against the cold concrete, her heart thumping like a drum against her ribs. She let out a soft, desperate meow, a sound so small it was almost swallowed by the storm. Then another, a little louder, a tiny plea for help in a world that seemed not to care. Inside his small food stall, Mr. Chen was packing up for the day. The rain was bad for business. As he wiped down his counter, he heard it, a faint, high-pitched cry carried on the wind. At first, he dismissed it as a trick of the storm. But then he heard it again, a fragile thread of sound woven into the tapestry of the downpour. His curiosity piqued. He peered out from under his awning, his eyes scanning the wet pavement. He followed the sound, his gaze landing on the pathetic-looking cardboard box near the corner. Slowly, carefully, he approached. He knew sudden movements could frighten a lost animal. He crouched down, his knees protesting on the wet ground. "Hello there, little one," he whispered, his voice warm and gentle. "Are you all alone?" He lifted a corner of the box, and two enormous, terrified green eyes stared back at him. It was the smallest kitten he had ever seen, a trembling ball of orange fluff. Her meow was now a choked sob. She was so scared she couldn't even move. Mr. Chin's heart ached for her. This big, noisy city was no place for such a fragile creature. He extended a hand, slowly, letting her catch his scent. Pip flinched, but she didn't run. There was no aggression in this giant's touch, only warmth. He spoke to her in soft, soothing tones, telling her everything was going to be okay. After a moment, he gently scooped her up. Pip was so light she felt like she was made of air and raindrops. He cradled her against his chest, tucking her inside his warm jacket, away from the biting wind and rain. The little kitten, exhausted and terrified, finally stopped shivering. For the first time that day, she felt a flicker of safety. Mr. Chen looked around. Where could she have come from? A stray kitten this young wouldn't survive long on her own. He started asking other vendors, showing them the tiny orange face peeking out from his jacket. "Have you seen a mother cat? Any other kittens?" Most just shook their heads, busy with their own troubles. But then, a woman who sold flowers pointed towards a nearby apartment building. "I saw a ginger cat run in there when the storm started," she said. She looked frantic, like she'd lost something. It was a long shot, but it was the only lead he had. Carrying his precious cargo, Mr. Chen walked to the apartment building. The front door was propped open. He stepped inside the lobby, the sound of the storm instantly muffled. He wasn't sure what to do next. How do you find a mother cat in a building with dozens of apartments? He decided to let Pip lead the way. He gently placed her on the dry floor of the lobby. At first, Pip just stood there, looking dazed. Then, her little nose began to twitch. She took a tentative step. Then another. She seemed to catch a familiar scent on the air, a scent that meant food, warmth, and love. She let out a determined meow and started trotting towards a staircase at the end of the hall. Mr. Chun followed quietly, his heart filled with a nervous hope. They climbed to the second floor. Pip moved with more confidence now, her tiny paws pattering on the linoleum. She led him down a hallway and stopped in front of apartment 2B. She looked up at the door and let out a series of loud, insistent meows, a sound completely different from her earlier cries of fear. This was a call of recognition, a call for home. Just then, the door creaked open. A young woman peeked out, a worried look on her face. "Can I help you?" she asked. Before Mr. Chun could answer, a flash of ginger fur darted out from behind her legs. It was a beautiful mother cat, her green eyes wide with anxiety. She saw Pip, and a soft, rumbling purr erupted from her chest. She rushed forward, nudging her lost baby, licking her fur, her tail twitching with relief. The woman's face softened into a smile. "Oh, you found her. That's Ginger," she said, gesturing to the mother cat. "We brought her and her litter in from the alley just before the storm hit. We were so worried when we realized one was missing." She invited Mr. Chun inside. And there, in a cozy living room, was a scene of pure bliss. In a cardboard box lined with soft, warm blankets, 3 other tiny kittens were wrestling and sleeping. Ginger gently picked Pip up by the scruff of her neck and carried her over to the box, depositing her right in the middle of her siblings. Instantly, the little family was complete again. Pip, no longer cold or scared, snuggled into the pile of warmth. She was surrounded by the familiar scent of her mother and the soft purrs of her brothers and sisters. She began to purr herself, a loud, contented rumble that vibrated through her whole body. She kneaded her tiny paws into the blanket, her eyes slowly closing. She was safe. She was home. Mr. Chun watched them for a moment, his heart swelling with joy. The city outside was still grey and stormy, but inside this small apartment, there was nothing but warmth, light, and love. He had been just one person in a massive, indifferent city, but for one tiny kitten, his kindness had made all the difference in the world. He quietly thanked the woman and left, the sound of happy purring following him out the door. Pip's adventure was over, and her new life, safe and sound, had just begun. Thank you so much for watching this story. If it touched your heart, please give this video a like and consider subscribing for more heartwarming tales from the animal world. Every act of kindness, no matter how small, can change a life. We'll see you in the next video.